What is going on, TCG squad? We are back. We are back with another live stream. Today, we're actually going to be talking about some rares. We're going to be ranking the rares. And if you haven't seen our last video that we did on Tuesday where we ranked all the legendaries, go back we watch it. There's a video on demand that you can watch at any point for that live stream. And I'll try to cut it up for some YouTube shorts as well if you missed some of that. But I'm just letting some people trickle in. Let them people trickle in because we're about to start the stream here. And let's talk about these rares. As everyone knows, it was all spoiled. All of the cards were already spoiled. So I've actually started playtesting already with Kira Data Vault with some of the newer cards just to see how that deck plays. And I'll tell you, when we did that legendary ranking, I was gonna tell y'all Darth Vader is the best, and yeah, he's still the best. He's very good in blue. But we're gonna get started here soon. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. By the way, if you guys have a 3D printer, especially a Bamboo Labs, I've been addicted to printing these little deck boxes right here. They're really nice, and they fit your regular deck. Plus, you can hit one of those plastic things in there, and then you can have protect your leader. They're very cool. So I'm probably going to be giving out some of these later because I'm printing way too many of them at another giveaway here. Probably when we hit that new milestone. By the way, if you missed our previous stream, we are going to be giving, we do have a new giveaway. You do have to be subscribed, and we're trying to reach a milestone within the channel. I'm just trying to hit a watch hour goal. We can potentially hit it this month, maybe even next month. And whoever wins, all you have to be is subscribed. I'll get this read. All you have to be when I hit that milestone, I'm going to have a live stream and we're going to do a roll and see, or a spin, and see who wins. And the winner is going to win this. This is going to be the Obi-Wan Sector Qualifier promo card. You only can get them there. And since we're on a 4th set, this card, I guarantee you, is going to be slotting into decks. So if you want to bling out one of your decks with an awesome Obi-Wan promo, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're watching our videos. And if you have any friends that are in Star Wars Unlimited, I dabble in One Piece as well. And then once Gundam comes out in July, I'll be playing that as well. Get them to subscribe to the channel today. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me go ahead and switch scenes here. All right, so we're going to be doing a tier ranking of all of the rares from Legends of the Force, the newest set of Star Wars Unlimited that's coming out in July. So like I said earlier, we did the legendaries. It's time to do the rares. Here's the scale. Master Jedi is the S tier. This means these are going to be cards you're going to be seeing in the meta. We're going to see, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be tied to leaders or synergy or a niche. It's just going to be, if you run that color, you're probably going to auto include these cards. The Jedi Knight tier is like rank A, right? It's good, but it might not be good in every single deck that runs that aspect, right? Padawan is going to be closer to niche. It might only work for like a leader or a special setup or a combo or something that's hard to pull off. And then Scruffy-Looking Nerf Herder, that's tier F. You failed. You're done. Don't even put it in your deck because you're probably never going to use it and just resource it every time. So if that's you, any of those cards are in there. Now, these are all my opinion. So just let you know. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think. If you agree with me, hey, let me know in the comments. And if you think one of these rares should have been a legendary, let me know as well, because I know some cards, some of these rares, I would say they could have been almost legendaries on how good they are. Okay. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to have a separate window because I know with this tier maker, it's so hard to read the card. So I'm going to have a separate window. I'll be switching between the other windows so you can see a bigger version of that card. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay. The first one on the list is going to be Pog Krill. Okay. Pog Krill, he is a 2/9, 7-cost ground unit. He has grit, which we all love. And it says when this unit completes attack, you may defeat a unit with less remaining HP than this unit's power. That's a very, very powerful attack for a 2 for grit and 2/9. So as he starts taking damage, he starts doing more damage. I unfortunately have not been able to use him yet. Running the Kira Data Vault deck, I don't have room for this deck, but I can see how other leaders might potentially want to use this card. I don't think it's going to be meta defining, unfortunately. I think it's a very powerful card. It's a very good card, but I can't put it in that Master Jedi tier. I think it's going to be, there's going to be decks that are going to leverage him. He's going to be very powerful, that when it completes an attack and it needs to survive, I think that's a very powerful thing. So if you have a shield and only have 1 health left and you hit something that is massive, you can defeat something. That's a pretty good ability. So with that being said, Pod Krill, I'm going to go ahead and put him in the Jedi Knight tier. Now guys, you got to remember, this isn't end all be all. As I start looking at cards, I will start moving them up and down that ranking. If you guys disagree with me, hey, let me know in the chat. That's the only way I'm going to know that, hey, I could be potentially wrong. And I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes, but I want you guys to give me input and give me feedback. But Pod Krill, we're going to go ahead and put him in the Jedi Knight tier. Right, let's move on. Next up, we have the Kylo Ren's lightsaber. This is just a 2-cost upgrade. You have to attach to a non-vehicle, meaning you have to attach it to mostly a ground unit. It's also, if it's attached to a force unit, against this unit can't be exhausted by enemy card abilities. It gives the wielder 1 attack and 3 defense. Honestly, this card is not bad. Obviously, you can apply it to any villainy force unit, and it can't get exhausted, which is a very, very powerful effect. Now, I have seen Kylo Leader. If you guys don't know about Kylo Leader, he deploys at 7. He's a 5/5 Sentinel, and he has this cool ability that when you deploy him, you can play any upgrades in your discard, paying their cost on him. So there's a lot of people trying to crack out how do you play him. So if you can somehow put his lightsaber on and prevent him from getting exhausted, that'll be good, because you'll be able to swing hard if you manage to get something. But I haven't seen many decks successful with Kylo Ren. I did see an interesting Kylo Yellow deck that literally just tried to get to 14 to 15 resources because he was looking for 1 card specifically to put in the discard. And it was the it's not now there to them. The card is a 3-cost upgrade, 0/0, and it can't be defeated by card abilities or anything. So that makes it very, very, very powerful. Because Kylo's lightsaber is really strict. The fact that it says force units, I was originally going to give it Padawan tier. But since it's actually just says any force unit, that means it's a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and slot it up in the Jedi Knight tier. I think it's a decent upgrade. It's not the best. It's not the worst. All right. Next up, we have the Tragedy of Plagueis. This is a 5-cost event. Basically says you choose a friendly unit. For this phase, it can't be defeated by having no remaining HP. An opponent chooses a unit they control, defeat that unit. So you get to choose a unit that doesn't die. They have to pick a unit that dies. So it's not too bad. So if you're trying to figure out how to kill something before your leader dies, that might be a great way to do it. You can protect your leader. Especially, it kind of synergizes with Kylo, right? Kylo is a Sentinel. You don't want your Sentinel to die with all these upgrades. So you can play the Tragedy of Plagueis to keep your Kylo alive so that he doesn't, if he's taking all this damage, he's not wiped out, and then he can swing in for an attack. It allows you to also destroy something. But for 5 resources, that's kind of expensive for the Tragedy of Plagueis. I think so. It's a very niche deck, I would say, in terms of what you would want to run this. The only one I can think of is kind of like giving villain a turret leader ability pseudo for 1 round, which is okay. But I don't think the card is great, so I'm going to be putting it into the Padawan tier. I think it's going to be a very niche card that a certain deck might want. Maybe Kylo. I can't see many other leaders that might want this. All right. The next up card we have is Yaddle. She is a 2-cost ground unit with a 2/4, has Restore 1, and says on attack, each other friendly Jedi gains Restore 1 for this phase. Guys, when we did the spoiler video for Yaddle, I said she was a smash, right? And if you're running Hero Blue, I'm going to tell y'all this. There's no reason not to have Yaddle in your deck. She's literally probably the best 2-drop that you can play if you're running Hero Blue. Like, there's no question about it. And if you're building a Force/Jedi type deck, well, guess what? All your units are getting buffed. They're all getting that Restore 1. So it's a great way to kind of get health back. And we know Restore is very powerful. Yaddle might be one of those cards you auto-include in your pre-release as well, because Restore is such a powerful ability, especially in a limited format. Draft, if you be lucky enough to draft something, she's good. But again, this is only going to be in the scope of Premier play only, y'all. But again, with Yaddle, if you're running Hero Blue, I think she's an auto-include in almost any Hero Blue deck. There is no question about it. So she is our first Master Jedi tier. And we know she was on the Jedi Council, so kind of makes sense, right? Next up, we have the T6 Shuttle 1974. This is a 3-cost space unit. It's a 3/4, and it says when this unit is attacked, before damage is dealt, you may give an experience token to this unit. So for a space unit for 3/4, that's not too bad, but we know that this is all around space. It's all around the Force. So you can, if you have your Force token, you can kind of give it up, and then it becomes, instead of a 3/4, it becomes a 4/5, kind of buffing it, which is not bad. I'm trying to think of when it comes to Hero Blue, what other ships are at that 3 costs that are going to be either on par or better. I can't think of one off the top of my head. The fact that, again, remember, the whole set is about making the Force, using the Force, making the Force. So it does slow you down a bit in terms of tempo, but I think this shuttle is, for 3 resources, is not bad. It's a great way to actually get it. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the Jedi Knight tier. I think it's going to be used. I don't think it's going to be a meta-defining card, in my opinion. Like Yaddle is. She is good. Now, I do think, yeah, I'll kind of leave it here. All right, guys, if you guys are watching the video, let me know in the chat if you disagree or agree with any of my choices right now. These are just my preliminary thoughts right now. But let's move on to the next one here, all right? We got a lot of cards to go through, so I'm going to try to go rather quickly. And then any comments, let me know. All right, the next one is the Jedi Holocron, so 1-cost upgrade. It gives you 1+1/+1. It says attached to a Force unit. Attached unit gains on attack. You may heal 3 damage from another unit. Again, when we talk about hero cards or heroism cards, it's always about healing, and we know villainies are always around damage. And we know healing is very good. So this card is very structured, to my opinion. Going to be decks that have Sentinel to help heal. There's actually a really good 3/5 Sentinel that is a Jedi that's going to be very good to keep him healed so he stays on the board to protect your life. But again, I think it's going to be more of a niche type deck. I don't know if this is an auto include in every villain, any hero blue. Because of that, I want to put it over here in the Padawan tier. There's a lot of upgrade hate since this new set. I feel like there still could be upgrade hate going now. We have cards like Bamboozle. We have cards like Disabling Fangfather. You can get Waylaid. There's a lot of things that can get rid of those upgrades. We have Aggression, the 4-cost double red Aggression, right? So I'm going to drop it down to the Padawan tier. I think certain decks, niche decks, will use it, but I don't think it's a meta-defining card, and I definitely don't think it's going to be used in the majority of blue decks. But next up, let's head up to the next card. We're going to be looking at the Jedi Trials. Again, this is a 1-cost upgrade. It says attached to a Force unit. It says attached unit gains on attack, give an experience token to this unit. While attached unit has 4 or more upgrades on it, it gains Jedi trait. So I like the concept of this card. I think it sounds cool. You could attach it to something for one, and then you can use the on attack. You could be buffing it. Essentially, it needs to survive for 4 rounds to get that get the 4 experience tokens, and then it gets that Jedi trait. And again, if you have a Jedi, you can have additional you get additional synergies unlocked in your cards depending on what deck you're running. I think again, this is the same level as the Jedi Holocron. I think it's actually the Holocron's a little bit better. I do think it's better than the Tragedy of Plagueis. I have to think about Plagueis, the Tragedy of Plagueis, a little more. 5-cost event it's pretty expensive. I can rather do No Glory, Only Results. There's multiple cards I think I would use over this, but it does 2 things at once. So that's why it's not too bad. But I'm going to put Jedi Trials in the Padawan tier. I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference in the current meta. And I don't see how much value it adds for future meta. Because if once you have an upgrade out, people, there's so much upgrade hate. It doesn't really buff your unit. You have to attack. So if they kill your unit after you just play that upgrade, it has 0 value. So that's why I'm going to drop it to the Padawan tier. Okay. Next up, we have our first double vigilance card. This is Dumay. This is a 5-cost ground unit, 2/7. It says when the regroup phase starts, give an experience token to each other friendly non-vehicle unit. So that's a very powerful card. Dumay is very powerful because an experience token to each other friendly unit is very good. Now, the only thing I see with Dumay is that not many people run double blue hero or let me just rephrase that. There's not many double blue decks, right? So if we think about even Kira, who uses vigilance, that's a double blue card. You don't pay 4, you're paying 6 resources for it. And at 6 resources, do you think Dumay would be better than just playing the legendary Vader? I would say no. So Dumay to me is a very interesting card because I think the mechanic card, the card is good, but I just don't see it. I feel like it's going to be more of a niche card. And because of that, I'm going to have to put it in this Padawan tier. Okay. I do think it's better than the Tragedy of Plagueis. Actually, I'll put it against better than all these. So this is like on the border between these 2 tiers. I'll probably look at it and re-examine it, but let's move on. Next up, we have, we got some sorting card errors. Okay, so let's go on to Size Matters Not. It says this is a 3-cost upgrade. If you control a Force unit, this upgrade costs 1 less to play, which is very good. We know this set's around 4, so you're really gonna probably be paying 1 less, but it's double blue. Attached units printed power is considered 5, and its printed HP is considered to be 5. Okay. So remember, this is double blue, so most instances it's going to cost you 5. But if you have a Force unit or a Force deck, it's really going to cost you 4. So if you attach this upgrade to a maybe weaker unit, then you're going to have like a 5/5, and you're paying 4 for it. I don't think that's very good. I'm going to be honest, right? For 4 resources, you can get a close to a 5/5. You could get a 4/5. You can get there's an uncommon 4/4 Kiadi Mundi who allows you to draw 2 cards. There's a Quinlan that gets if he can get to 6 power. So I don't think this card is good at all. So I'm gonna drop it down here. If you think I'm wrong on this one, I'm dropping this. This is Scruffy-Looking Nerf Herder. I don't think is a good card. It's only helpful if you put it on a low cost unit, like a 2-drop, and you had nothing else to play that turn. Sure, but does it really help? I don't think so. By the time you can play 2 things at once, I think you're just losing the game at that point. So I do not think this is not a good card. Next up, we have Axe Wolves, 3-cost ground unit. He's a 2/2 shielded, and then this unit gets +1/+1 for each upgrade on him. Again, Axe Wolves is a solid card. He's a little undercosted in my opinion, but he does have that shield, and then he does have the ability. So this card is also another interesting one. We had a similar card in the last set, the Follower's Way or something. It sounded really cool, but guess what? No one used it. Like with all the upgrade hate, it really never got to pull off the effect. It takes a very niche deck, right? And because of that, I'm gonna drop it here for that Padawan tier. It's just very niche deck might use it, and it might not even be that great. Let's move on. Next up, we have the Ogdo Bogdo. By the way, I like this guy. He's my boy. He's a 3-cost ground unit. He's 5/5. It cannot attack unless it's damage, and when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, heal 2 damage from this unit. So I think Ogdo Bogdo is a very good card. Some people might say, yo, you're crazy. Well, you also got to remember there's a lot of ways that you can put damage on a unit. I'm going to put him in the Jedi Knight here, but you got to hear me out. If you run him in Kira, you can use her Kira ability to damage him and do a shield, and now he can attack. You're literally going to be able to attack for 5 damage on the following turn. If you're going against an indirect damage deck, you're going to put the damage on him. That boy can attack then. There's different ways you can get the damage on him. You just got to figure out how. So I don't think he's that bad. But what I think he's actually really good, and I've been playing a little bit with Kira with him inside in that deck. If you can drop him, a lot of people don't think he's going to be a threat. And then when you're on the Kira flip turn and you deploy her and she hits damage, now he's hitting for 5. Or you overwhelming barrage for 7 and clear your opponent's board, and now he's attacking for 7 and Kira's attacking for 4. That's a lot of damage in one turn, potentially. So there's ways. Now, I don't think he's an auto include in all in any blue deck. I think certain decks will like him, but I think he's powerful enough. I'll tell you this right now. Where he's going to shine the most is Han 2. Okay? Because Han 2, you're going to do 2 damage on... This is literally your turn 1 play. You bring him out. He's going to be... he's a 5 high, but then he takes 2 damage. So he's technically a 5/3. Now, some might say, yo, that's too powerful. Well, there's a lot of... Battlefield Marine, if you're playing Sabine, if that was their first play, they're not going to attack your base. They're going to attack Ogdo Bogdo and take him out, right? So some people, I've seen some people on the Reddit say, no, he's too powerful, get him out of the game. But there's a lot of 2-cost units that can go 3/1 into him and kill him. So I don't think he's such a large threat, but I think he's very good. I think people are sleeping on him just because he can't attack bases. There's a lot of ways you can get him to attack, get damage. There's lots of ways. You can even get him Sentinel somehow, and they have to crash into him. So Ogdo Bogdo, I'm going to put him at the very front of the Jedi Knight here. I think he's very good. I think people are sleeping on him. I think we're going to be seeing some surprising things with Ogdo Bogdo. All right, next up we have is Captain Enoch. He's a 1/5 ground villainy command unit. This unit gets +1/0 for each trooper in your discard pile. So again, this guy is going to be more around kind of building around a trooper deck. So when you already start doing something around a certain like tribalness, I already going to tell you it's not going to hit a Master Jedi rank. It's not going to happen, right? Like the top tier, your tier S, Master Jedi, are like, it doesn't matter what type of deck I'm playing, you auto include it, right? So Captain Enoch, sure, he gets stronger for each trooper. I think this is very niche to Rex, right? Rex might want him. If you're building a trooper deck, you're going to want him. There's multiple ways you can build trooper decks, right? That I can think off the top of my head. But I think it's a good card, but I think it's very niche. Because it's niche, I'm going to have to drop him down to the Padawan tier. I think it's just going to be very certain niche decks. It's not going to be all decks. Like, it's not an auto include. I'm going to have to drop him there. Okay. Next up, we have the Derringer Spawn, a 3/3 with Overwhelm. says when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, give a number of experience tokens to equal to the number of the unit defeated cost. That's a 4 cost. For at first, I was thinking about it. I was like, it's a weird statted, right? 3/3. I mean, overwhelm is really nice, right? But it's like, I don't think the hard part for me is not an auto include. Now, he is a creature, so if you build some around a creature deck, I think he'd be decent. Now, I was thinking about potentially adding him in the Kira Data Vault list, because why? You can do Kira's ability, give him a shield, then he can attack something and he gets that, whatever he kills, because he has 3 power, he gets that much stronger. And then he could get stronger really fast. The only problem that I see with him, though, is that, again, there's so many cards out here that can kill something. So having him become a super giant threat, I don't think is very likely. I think there could be decks that could probably leverage him, but I don't think it's an auto include in every deck. Like, I can't see it. So I can't see him in the Master Jedi tier. For the Jedi, like, will I see him a lot? I don't know. I can't say firmly no, because if I see someone drop this guy on the board, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna immediately kill it so he doesn't get powerful. Now, if you have a sentinel somewhere behind it to help protect it, so he can go pick up things or somehow shield it, then I think it might be okay. But again, it's niche. It's a very niche card, so we're gonna throw him in the Padawan tier. I do think he has the potential to be good, so I'm gonna bring him up all the way to the front of the list. But outside of that, I don't know if he can be better than that. Now, Eye of Sion. This is a 4/7 space unit. It costs 6 resources. Its aspects are command and villainy. But look, look at the keywords: hidden, ambush, overwhelm, restore 1. Right? We reviewed this card during the spoilers, and I immediately hit smash. I didn't have to read anything. I just saw all those keywords and I saw smash. Now, where I think this card could definitely shine is in Kira. Kira lacks a little bit of space. You don't have many. Prior to Vader and the new Anakin, there wasn't many 6-drops. So this definitely could fill in that void. So I'm going to say I'm torn with this one. I think Eye of Sion is, I think you want to, if you're running villain green, I think this is an auto include. It has hidden, so they can't target it. It has ambush. It has overwhelm. Has restore 1. So something's about to die. You can ambush it out, kill it, overwhelm the damage. You're gonna heal your base, and it's hidden still. Like it's. I think that's a very solid card. At 4 resources, you could always at 4 power, you could always follow up your turn with an overwhelming barrage. We all know that's one of the best events in the game. So I'm gonna put Eye of Sion up in the. I think we're gonna see that card a lot. If you're running here, villain green, I think this is gonna be one of those cards you always think about slotting in every time. It might not be main board; it could even be potentially sideboard. But I think we're gonna see this card pretty often. All right, let's move on to Craving Power. This is a 5-cost upgrade. It gives +2/+2, and it says attached to a friendly unit. When played, deal damage to an enemy unit equal to its attached power. Now, 5-cost upgrade is a lot. It is a lot. I don't think. For 5 resources, I think there's other upgrades I'd rather use. Now, I think the thing with Craving Power is very niche, right? Think about Kylo, right? He can play upgrades from the discard pile. But and then if he gets him super strong, obviously your sequencing matters in this moment. You're gonna play this upgrade last. But realistically, how many upgrades can you get on Kylo? Kylo's a 5/5. Okay? You get maybe Fallen Lightsaber on him, or Kylo's lightsaber, for example, right? It only gives him 1 attack, so he's a 6. Then you put maybe let's say you had, I don't know, a hot shot for some reason. I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying he's gonna run with hot shot. Now he gets +2, so he's an 8. And then now you put this on. Okay, now you're gonna do 8 damage to something to kill it. It's too niche. It's too niche. I'm gonna have to put that in that Padawan tier. I don't think it's gonna be seen much play. It's gonna be a very niche deck. Like I said, Kylo. Next up we have is Eth Koth. He's a 4 cost ground unit. He's a 5/4 and has when defeated, you may use the Force. If you do, put this card into play as a resource. Okay. This one is super easy. Guys, we know ramp is very good. And if you're running Hero Green, I think this is an auto include. Like, you're running Hero Green, ramp is so good. We all know Super Laser Technician, we know Resupply. Right now, Hero doesn't have Super Laser Technician. Everyone has access to Resupply. This is almost the equivalent of a Super Laser Technician. It costs more. Super Laser Technician is 3. This is a 4-drop, but it has decent stats, a 5/4, and has that when defeated. I think this is going to be an auto include in almost every single deck. And by the way, for guys who just joined here right now, we have Yaddle, Eye of Sion, and Eth Mon, I guess, as our Master Jedi tiers. This is the best rares in the game. And frankly, and I'm not going to lie, I personally think Yaddle should be a legendary. I think that's how good this card is. It's surprising she's not a legendary card for me. So I was wondering what they're thinking. Guys, if you're in the chat, let me know if you disagree with me. If you don't, whatever. I just want to hear your opinions. Let's keep watching. Let's keep going. All right. Next up, we have Yoda's Lightsaber. This is a 2-cost upgrade. Gives 3 attack and 1 defense. It's attached to non-vehicle unit. When played, you may use the Force. If you do, heal 3 damage from a base. So, 2-cost upgrade. I like the fact that it's really aggro-y, giving a 3/1. And you just have to attach it to a Force unit. I really like this upgrade. I actually think it's and healing a base, also very, very good. I'm gonna put this in the Jedi Knight here. I think we'll see this upgrade being used. Is it meta defining? I can't say it is, just because there's so much upgrade hate in the game right now. I don't know how sticky some of these upgrades are going to be, so I can't put them in the meta defining phase. They're still, in my opinion, the best upgrade in this game is Hotshot DL44 Blaster. Like, there's hands down no better upgrade than that. The fact that you can play it for cheap or you can smuggle it and you can instantly attack, it's an action cheat in itself. Sure, healing is nice. Sure, right? You get 3 attack. I think they're good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't think it's an auto include in the deck, right? That's what I think Master Jedi tier separates anything from the Jedi tier, is that, like, you're building, like, you're literally, think about it. You're building a deck, and I don't know how you guys build deck, but I'll tell you how I build deck. I pick my leader and I pick my base, and then I start adding every single card that I think I would like. Yeah, my deck list sometimes is 100 cards. Then I start whittling it down from there. Okay, yeah, this doesn't really work. This doesn't work from here. This doesn't work there, right? And then I get to that final 60 card deck, the 50 plus the sideboard. Or if you're running Data Vault, the 60 plus the 10 sideboard, right? So I think you will always want to have that in, but I don't think it's going to be making like a meta defining difference with the upgrade like a Hotshot DL44 Blaster is. Because if you're running Aggression or Cunning, it's an auto include. You just add it in. That's what you do, okay? Let's move on. We have Lumious Beings. This is a 6-cost event. It says put up to 3 Force units from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck in a random order. Give that many units +4/+4 for this phase. So this card is kind of expensive. You have to find, you need to make sure you use it. You need to have 3 Force units to give 3 units +4/+4. Giving 3 units +4/+4, that's a total of what, 4, 8, 12 power on the board. That's a lot. I'm gonna tell you that is a lot, right? And the caveat to this is give that many units +4/+4. It doesn't specify force units, so you're really kind of looking at whatever units you have on the board. They're gonna get +4/+4. That is pretty powerful, y'all. But my problem here is 6 resources for Hero Green. That, what can you do? You're almost like 1 resource away from a lot of other cards that you could use at 7 resources. I'm trying to think what 6 drop is good at this part. I don't know. This is one of these cards that I'm iffy, and this is where I would like to hear from you guys in the video. What do you guys think of this one? I know, even though the ability is powerful, I don't know, you do have to build a force deck around it. So now you're really synergized to an archetype, right? So I can't put it in a Master Jedi tier just because of that. Because the Jedi tier doesn't matter what you're doing. As long as it's that color, you're going to probably slot it in. For the Jedi Knight tier, I think the potential is good, but I don't know how many times you actually will get this off. I think if you can, obviously you're going to need some type of ramp to get here to do it. And yes, that's some scary threat on the board. If your opponent puts a magically 12 power, most decks can only handle 1 by removal or no good to me dad or something like that, exhausting it. But that's still 8 unaccounted power plus those units. So Luminous Beings, I'm gonna put at the end of this tier. I'm kind of thinking of dropping him down 1 tier. We'll look at the rest of the cards and see what we do here for these rares. Let's move on. We still got plenty of cards. Malakili is next up. He's a 1/4 ground unit. It says the first creature you play each phase costs 1 less. If a friendly creature would deal damage to a friendly unit, prevent that damage. So again, this is going to be a very tribal type deck. We're running creatures, right? And when you're running kind of creatures, you're really looking at certain decks. Now, there's a lot of creatures. There's a lot of Rancors, right? There's a lot of creatures in this deck. So I think you can see him. You'll see use. Maybe there could be a Jabba deck that uses him. Green is good because you can ramp, so it allows you to get to some of those bigger units. We talked about some of those legendary creatures already. If you're running command, I think you're gonna and you want creatures, I think he's gonna be an auto include. But again, it's very specific niche, y'all. Because of that, I'm gonna have to put him down in this tier. Now, I will put him ahead of probably here. Makes sense to me here. He could slide up. He could slide up, but we'll keep on going. Next up, we have Sifo Diaz. He is a 5 cost ground unit with a 4/4, and he says, let me bring him in a new window because I don't want to break my neck reading him. Search the top 8 cards of your deck for any number of clone units with combined 4 or less and discard them. For this phase, you may play those cards from your discard pile for free. So Sifo Diaz, again, he's going to be a very niche deck, y'all. It's clones, right? And sure, we have some clone decks out there right now. Rex uses clones, and then Nalase uses clones, right? So that might be a way you can use them. But again, when we talk about it, it's niche. When I think about a niche deck, you're automatically out of the Master Jedi tier. You're teetering on that Jedi tier. You're probably looking at Padawan tier. And because of that, I got to put him there. He's going to be a very niche deck. And if you're niche, that's where you belong. You might take him to a locals and do well. You might play on Carabas and do okay, and then take it to locals and burn against those meta decks. So I'm going to have to put him on the Padawan tier. All right, let's move on. We have the Purger King. This is a 8 cost space unit, has 4 attack and 12 defense, has restore 4, and it says when played, draw a card. for each friendly unit with 7 or more remaining HP. So, with this card, I'm going to tell y'all right off the bat, this when played, you're going to probably just erase it. I don't think you'll ever really get much of that off. That's a lot of health. Restore 4 is amazing. That the stat points with he has low attack, but the restore 4 makes up for it. But 8 costs. 8 costs is expensive. And there's legendary cards that I think that are out that are probably better. Sure, if you're running a creature deck and you have Malakili, he can discount this by 1. But even at 7 resources, that's kind of beefy. But again, just like I said with Saifo Diaz, you're already kind of locked into a certain archetype or tribal theme, right? And it's going to be a creature theme. Because of that, to me, you're already locked out almost the top 2 tiers, right? Can a ramp deck get to 8 resources? Yes, it can. I'm not saying it can't. But you're probably going to want a creature deck. Maybe you're running Hantu blue and green, and you can bring him out cheaper. If you have Malaki, he comes even cheaper. And then you can really build a big creature army. I think Hantu's the leader that does that, by the way. But because it's so niche, I'm going to have to put him in the Padawan tier. Anything niche or just around a specific tribal synergy or a leader, I just have to put him in this tier. Let's move on. Next up is the Burden of Masters. This is a 1-cost event. It says, put a force unit from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. If you do, play a unit from your hand and give it 2 experience tokens. Okay. So, we all know this set is force. So, there's going to be lots of decks that are command that are going to be force. The fact that you can pull something from the discard pile and put it in your deck, and then you can play something and give it 2 experience tokens, I think that's actually pretty good. So if you're in the higher resource classes, then I think this card is very good. Because now you're going to be able to get some of your good cards that might have been in the discard pile, put them back in the bottom of the deck, and then you can play something from your hand. Obviously, if you're at 6 resources, you're going to do a 5-cost unit, but giving it 2 resource experience, I think it's pretty good. I don't think that's a bad thing. Do I think it's meta-defining? I don't think so. Again, but I think we're going to see use of that. I think that's better than the Loomis Beings. I think it's better than the Shuttle. I think it's better than the... Is it better than Up Sabers? I would say they're better than Sabers. I think it's better than Pog Krill. And I'll probably put it ahead of Agobogdo. I think that's a pretty solid event for 1 resource. It's basically the way I see it is given a unit 2 experience tokens when you play it. I think that's solid. I think we'll see this card. I actually might even slot it up here because the more I think about it, I was like, would I almost add this card in every command deck if I'm building a force deck? But then that's where that caveat is. It has to be force, so you can't put in that Master Jedi tier. All right. Next up, we're looking at the... Let me get some water. Sorry, guys. Mouth's getting dry. All right. Next up, we have the Scythe. 4-cost space unit. He's a 3/5. And it says, on attack, you can give another friendly Inquisitor +2/+0 for this phase. For 4 resources, I do think this ship is a little bit undercosted. Sure, on attack, you can buff an Inquisitor. Again, you're looking at the Inquisitor theme. Automatically, I have to put him in this tier. Is he better than these? I would say he's better than this right here. We'll slot him here. But unfortunately, with these kind of themes where you're running some type of tribal or very niche, you just go to Padawan tier automatically. All right, next up we have the Sith Holocron. This is a 1-cost aggression villainy event upgrade. Excuse me. It says attached to a force unit. Attached unit gains on attack. You may deal 2 damage to a friendly unit. If you do, it gets +2/+0 for this attack. Okay? Upgrades the unit +1/+1. Now, I think we spoiled this in the previous spoilers. And if I recall correctly, I gave this a pass. I mean, sure, it's a one cost upgrade, but if you're running an aggro type deck like Kylo Red, you don't want to kill your stuff just for it to be stronger, right? You want to discard the cards using Kylo's leader ability and then buff him and then attack. I don't, man, I don't think this card is good at all. I don't see why I would even use this card. Why I don't want to damage my units just so they get stronger. I know that's a very villain theme, but I don't. Man, y'all might this couldn't be the hot take, but I don't think Sith Holocron is good. I don't want to use it. I don't want to deal damage to my units, just so they can hit a little harder. I don't think it's worth it. Like maybe if you have shields, but even for one cost, why not put a DL44 blaster if you're running red? It's only gonna cost you one. Same thing. Like, and that doesn't do damage for you, and you're gonna hit for two. Like I don't think it's good. Sorry. Let's get out of here. All right, next up we have is Death Field. So let me pop this over. Death Field is a 4-cost event. It does 2 damage to each non-vehicle enemy unit. If you control a force, you draw a card. So again, this is going to be probably against, I don't think it's going to be like a main deck card. If you're running aggression, it's going to be a sideboard card. So if you're aggression and you're playing, let's say, against Darth Vader Pilot Swarm, you immediately slot this card in, right? Because you can literally destroy his entire space fleet. But actually, I'm wrong. Sorry. It says non-vehicle unit. So it doesn't even work on Vader. Maybe work for ground, doing 2 damage to the ground. But for me to get the value out of this card, remember, Daring Raid costs 1. Okay? And it does 2 damage to ground or base. This costs 4. So to get the equivalent power from Daring Raid, you need to be able to do 8 damage. So that means the opponent needs to have 4 units on the board. That usually doesn't happen often with ground units, right? I don't think Death Field is any good because there's so many cards I'd rather use. I'd rather, if I could, use 4 Daring Raids over this. Because to me, that's 8 damage to a base. Obviously, you can't have 4 Daring Raids, but I'm just giving you the equivalent of the cost. I can do 8 damage. This is very conditional opponent having. So this is another hot take. I don't think this card's good. I'm going to throw it at the bottom. If you disagree with me, you got to let me know in the comments, y'all. Let me know. Next up, we have Adigalia. This is a 2-cost ground unit. It has 2/4. And it says, when an opponent plays an event, deal 1 damage to that player's base. All right, guys. I'm going to tell y'all now, right now. This is a card that you auto-include if you're playing Hero Red. Literally perfect stats for a 2-drop. A 2/4. Nothing that's a 2-cost unit can kill this. It has the force trait, so guess what? You're running red, you auto have force throw. She just opened a force throw in your deck. And guess what? People play events. It gives you free damage onto a base. So Adigalia is an auto include if you're running any kind of red. Do you hear that? It doesn't even matter the type of deck you're running. If it's red and you're hero, you're going to probably auto slot her and you're going to run at least a play set of her or at least 2 of. Like literally, this is probably your best 2-drop if you're running hero red. Guess what? Quinlan, hello, Quinlan Tarkentown. You're automatically adding 3 of her in that deck. By the way, I actually have a video coming about how I know some of these people, I know a lot of people are like, ooh, new leaders, shiny toy, right? But if you're competitive or you want to be competitive in this game, you might want to analyze what's good right now and see what you can add in from the new set. It allows you, first of all, not to break the bank, right? Trying to get all the best cards. But it allows you to potentially still have a competitive deck. So with Quinlan Tarkentown, I think it's still going to be a very powerful deck in this game. And I guarantee you Adia Galia is auto-include in that deck. You just got to figure out what you got to cut now. And that's part of the problem. That's where you play test, right? But I think she'll be an any hero red card. All right, let's move on. Kit Fisto's Aether Sprite. This is a 5-cost space unit, 4/4, has Saboteur. It says, when played, you may defeat any number of upgrades on a unit. All right, that's not too bad. Upgrade hate. Remember we talked about upgrade hate? This is directly, in my opinion, was created to counter Kylo Leader when he deploys. Yeah, sure, do all your shenanigans. I'll kill all your upgrades. Done deal. Right? Again, aggression is another one of those. There's confiscate. We know disabling fan. There's so much in there, but I think stat-wise, right? It's a little undercosted. Sure, Saboteur is awesome for 5 resources. I'm trying to think of a spaceship that I would want to play in Hero that's better. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I think it's going to be. I don't think it's an auto include. If you guys hear me in a deck, so I can't put in that top tier. I think if you're running maybe Kit Fisto deck type, you might want to. You're going to probably want to have this. But I'm in between. So I'm going to put him at the end of the Jedi Knight tier, but I'm very inclined to drop him to the Padawan tier. Because it's going to be, again, very... It's just an upgrade hate card. And you might want to run him, especially with all these lightsabers. You kind of want upgrade hate. So that's the only reason I'm going to put him in the Jedi Knight tier, but the far end of the Jedi Knight tier. Okay. Next we have is Rey. She's a 5-cost ground unit. She's aspects are aggression, heroism. She's a 5/5, and it says when you draw a card during the action phase, if you control a red leader or base, you may reveal this card from your hand. If you do, deal 2 damage to a unit and 2 damage to a base. Okay, so this is literally when you draw this card during the action phase. So if this card was when you just draw it, bro, here you go. I got a red leader and base. I'm about to do 2 damage. But this is during the action phase. That means you need to have some type of card draw to do it. Some people were like, yo, there is card draw. Yeah, Chaotic Mundi allows you to draw the card. Okay? So yeah, then you can play the Rey and reveal it. Hey, look, I got a red leader or a red base. I can do 2 damage to a unit and 2 damage to base. Okay, cool. But in aggression, hero aggression, there's not much card draw, right? Come on, let's think about it. There's not much card draw. You can get card draw from if you're running blue, I think. So when you're locking yourself down to a certain aspect, I think the value of the card or the power of the card does go down slightly. So with that being said, I cannot put her at that Jedi Knight here. I just can't. It's going to be niche to certain type of decks that can actually benefit from. Sure, Chaotic Mundi is one of them. I'm not saying that's not bad, but it relies on cards like that because it says action phase. So we're going to put it in the Padawan tier. I'll put it at the top of the Padawan tier at the very front, right? It could go in the back of the Jedi Knight tier. If you guys think I'm wrong, let me know. I'm going to put it there, all right? Let's move on. Then we have Paz Vizsla. Let me bring him up in another screen so I don't break my neck reading him. He's a 5, double red, 3/6, and then this unit gets +2 attack for each damage on him. Paz Vizsla is pretty good. He's not bad. He's very unique though in terms of if you don't run double red, he's going to cost you 7. But at 7 resources is kind of weak, right? I do see him coming in certain decks. I can tell you Grand Inquisitor is going to like him, right? OG Grand Inquisitor, you will attack for 3, then you do the damage to ready him. Now he has 2 damage. Now he gets +2 attack for each damage, so it's 4 damage. So now he's going to swing in for 7. But unfortunately, after that, you can't ready him anymore with Grand Inquisitor. You're going to have to use Bravado or something like that to ready him up. He's very niche. Again, it's a very niche card. So I'm going to put him in the Padawan tier. I think certain decks will run him, but I don't think he's going to be like meta-defining. I don't think he's going to be like in certain decks like we always will see him. I just can't see him. I do think he's better than Sifo. This one, this one, this one, this one. Better than all. Maybe here. I'll put him right here. Like kind of in the middle of the pack of the Padawan tier. Okay. Okay, let's look at the Invasion Control Ship. This is a 7-cost space unit. It has 5 attack and 9 defense. It says friendly droid units gain raid 2. Alright. I'm going to tell y'all how I told y'all right off the bat. This is droid, right? Now you're really niched down to a certain archetype of the game. And when you get to that level, you are automatically going to the Padawan tier. Now, here's a problem. Droid decks haven't been prevalent in this meta. I don't see how that's getting better in this set. Sure, there's a Dooku deck that can build them, but I don't think this card is good. I'm going to slot it at the bottom. We haven't really seen droid decks. We haven't seen them work. Sure, you can get a space unit that costs 7. You're probably going to die by then if you're playing some of these aggro decks. So having that raid buff, it's not going to help. I don't think it's going to make a big difference in this meta either with the new set. It doesn't help droids anyway. This is a forced set. So we're going to put this in the Scruffy-Looking Nerf herder tier. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have the Heavy Blaster Cannon 4-cost upgrade. It says attached to a non-vehicle unit. When played, you may deal 1 damage to a ground unit, then 1 damage to the same ground unit, and then 1 damage to the same ground unit. Okay, so this essentially lets you do 3 damage to a ground unit, and it buffs your unit by +2/+2. Okay, so when you play it, you get 3 damage essentially. The downside is that you have to do it to the same unit. So if that unit you're playing has 1 health left, well, too bad, you don't get the ability. Now, where this comes in handy is when you're playing with something with a shield that had 2 health left. You do the damage, pop the shield off, you do 1 more damage, then 1 more damage, then you killed it, right? And then you buff your unit with +2. I don't think that's a very good upgrade. Most of the time, if I want to do something, I want to do 3 damage because I want to kill something specific when I play the upgrade, right? And for 4 resources, I think it's a little too high for +2/+2. I don't think we're going to see this upgrade played much. That does not go there. We're going to throw this in the Padawan. I almost want to point this at the Scruffy-Looking Nerf herder tier. I don't think it's a good one at all. I don't think it's good. I don't know why. I would rather play another 4-cost upgrade. I'd rather play a 3-cost upgrade, right? A 4-cost, there's so many other better upgrades to play. Like, come on, think about what's that other red upgrade? Flamethrower, where you could do 1 damage. No one uses it. This is the same idea to me. Nobody uses it. And with all the upgrade, hey, why have this one? It's just not worth it. So we're going to throw this guy at, I'm going to have to keep him here at the bottom. Let's move on. Next up, we have Time of Crisis. This is a 4-cost event. It says, each player chooses a unit they control. Deal 3 damage to each unit not chosen this way. All right. So this card is very niche. To me, this is like you're falling behind. You need to figure out how somehow to catch up. Maybe you're playing some swarm deck, maybe the cunning Vader swarm deck, and you got to stabilize the board. Then that might be a way, because you can knock out almost. I think in that Vader deck, almost everything has 3 health or less, except for whatever you put Vader on. It's a pseudo way to clear a board. I don't think it's great because you gotta take damage as well. Let me reread this. Yeah, everyone takes the damage. So if you have no board, this is a good way to do it. Even if you have a 1 unit, well, that 1 unit is safe. But I think it's all right. I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna run. Might be a sideboard card. I don't see any decks that would main deck this. Now, if we're seeing like a swarm or aggro type meta, then I would say this is probably an auto include. But We only really have one swarm deck, and that's Vader. I think he still might be good in the set for this upcoming set because everything's ground focused, so air is going to be very good. So you might sideboard this card. Okay? And because of that, I want to put him right here. It just depends. Put him in the Padawan tier. I don't think it's going to be that good. Now, if there's a lot of swarm deck, then he can jump up to Jedi Knight tier. But I'm going to put him right here. I think this is where he's going to live, right in front of Rey. We'll have that here. Next up, we have Deceptive Shade. This is a 2-cost ground unit. It has 2 attack, 3 defense. It says, when deployed, the next unit you play this phase gains ambush for this phase. Sure, a 2-drop that can give something ambush when it's defeated. Well, guess what? If you kill this when your opponent has no resources, well, the ambush doesn't really help, right? I do think ambush is good. I do think it's something that you like to have, but I don't think it's... I think it's very meh. It's a good 2-drop. It might be a good way to swing into something and then die and then give your next unit ambush to take out something. I think that is good. But I think there's only certain decks that would run this. I don't think it's an auto-include in any villain yellow deck. So we'll go ahead and put this. I do think the ability's pretty good. I'll put it around here. All right. Let's move on. Next up, we have Second Sister. This is a 4-cost ground unit. It has 3 attack and 6 defense. This is on attack. You may discard 2 cards from your deck. For each force card discarded this way, ready a resource. So, readying resources is powerful, guys. We all know how powerful that is with Pseudo Han. He creates a resource and then that allows him to use it. That's pretty good. On attack, I think it's a fairly decent. Now, you do have to have built a force deck, and not all cards can be force. You might have some other cards that are events that aren't force, so you might not always pull it off. Okay? Because of that kind of lottery type system, I can't put him in the top tier. I'm going to have to put it in this Padawan level. I think it's good, but I don't think it's great, right? These cards are very good and great. So we're going to have to slot it in the Padawan tier. As you can see, there's a lot of cards in Padawan tier. I think a lot of cards are like very niche, right? They might be good for limited, but not for Premier. You don't ever have that many good cards. Think about of all the rares that are in decks. There's not many that run, but the rares that are being used are always seen. Think about Hotshot, DL44 Blaster. That's literally always used. Okay. Let me bring up this one in a different window. All right. As I foreseen it, it's a 1-cost event. It says, look at the top card of your deck. You may use the force. If you do play that card, it costs 4 less. Okay. Yo, so that card's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Now, you do have to use it if you're building a force deck. It's not going to help you if you don't have a force deck where you can actually play it, right? Because you really want to be using the you have to use, first of all, you have to be using force, generating it somehow. So if you're playing some of the old the existing meta characters like maybe Han2 Green or Kira Datavolt, Cad Bane, this card doesn't do you force, but it is force, so it's going to be niche to force. And the fact that you can play something for 4 less, literally you can play a 4-drop for 1 resource, I think is very, very good. But then you're locked into that theme of force. So because you're locking into a certain tribal theme, automatic, I'm telling you, I can't put it in the top 2 lanes. But I'll put this right at the very front of the Padawan tier. I think that is very, very good. Okay, next up we have Liberated by Darkness. This is a 5-cost event. It says use the force. If you do take control of a non-leader unit at the start of the regroup phase, its owner takes control. So this is Change of Heart, guys. Come on, Change of Heart for force. Change of Heart costs 6 resources, right? So if think about, I always considered using the force like half a resource. So this kind of counts like 5.5 resources, almost the same thing. But the only difference with change of heart is, guess what? There is no stipulation of I gotta have a force, use the force, or not use the force. And again, because of that, you're locking yourself to a certain theme. And again, you're gonna go into Padawan tier. When you're locking yourself to a certain synergy or tribal or trait, I just can't put you higher than Padawan tier unless you have something that makes you exceptional. Okay. Next up, we have Vinestra. She's a 3-cost ground unit. She's a 3/4. And it says, when played, you may use the force. If you do, ready this unit. Vinestra is good. Again, she is, you're building a force. If you're going force-based deck, she's an auto-include. Now, following my own rules, I would have said, well, you got to build a niche around force, so she's she could go in the Padawan tier. But I'm actually going to put her up one slot at the very end of the Jedi, because for 3 resources, she's a 3/4. I think she's a solid 3/4, even if you don't use the wind plate ability and you don't have a wind. You're using like a force token generation type deck. I think she's still very solid for what she is for her stats. Now, if you happen to have a force deck, then she's really good, because now you get to immediately play her and attack with her. So I'm going to go ahead and put Vinestra in that tail end of that Jedi Knight there. I think it's good. And it might be some cards you might consider in building your when you're building yellow hero. All right, next up we have is Mind Trick. It says this is a 2-cost ground event. It says exhaust any number of units with a combined power of 4 or less. If you do control the force, those units lose all abilities and can't gain abilities for this phase. That's not bad. It's, to me, it's similar to No Good to Be Dead, but it's a caveat. No Good to Be Dead, I can do anything, leader, whatever. It doesn't matter how powerful they are. It doesn't matter how expensive they are. It's whatever, man. This one is very tied into the fact that you have to have combined cost 4 or less. So if they're going wide and they have a bunch of 1s, sure, you can exhaust 4 units. It's going to prevent a lot of damage, right? If you're playing an aggro deck like Sabine or Vader Swarm, yo, that's very good. But you have to have the caveat, I think, is good at the very beginning, right? And then if you do have the force, those units lose all abilities and can't. So it might be a good way to exhaust something that has a Sentinel. And if you're using a force deck, it loses Sentinel. I think that's pretty good. But again, we're talking about you're building around a force deck. I think there's still going to be decks that are not force based that are going to be very good, like Sabine, Kira Datavelt. I think those still going to be very good decks. So I want to put it at the very top of Padawan tier. I'm indifferent. I might slide it over to Jedi Knight tier. For 2 resources, not bad. Let me know in the chat. Guys, do you think I'm crazy? Just let me know. Okay. Next up, we have the Premonition of Doom. This is a 3-cost ground event. A 3-cost event. This is the next time you take initiative this phase, exhaust all units. Okay. This is an interesting card because this might be one of the times where you drew something, your opponent just is about to go ham and you have initiative. You can just exhaust the whole board, and then your opponent's going to do what they need to do. And then next turn, pray to God you have something that you're going to win. And maybe you might have gotten something like Super Laser Blast to help clear the entire board. I think this is a decent event. I'm trying to think, is it an auto-include? I don't think it's an auto-include. Could it be a sideboard deck? I think so. Especially against a swarm deck, I think it's going to be... I'm gonna say it's a sideboard, but it's not niche. I'm going to put him in the end of Jedi Knight tier. I have to put this at the end of the Jedi Knight tier. Okay. Let me bring up the next card. Babu Freak. He's a 1-cost ground unit. He has a 1/4, and he has Underworld trait. It says action. You may attack with a friendly droid. For this attack, it deals damage equal to its remaining HP instead of its power. Now, Again, I'm sorry, Babu Fruit. He's droid based. Droids, we don't really see many droids in this game besides your R2D2, C3PO. Sure, R2D2 is really good. He's a 1-4 and he'll hit for 4. That's really good. But it's niche. I don't think you'll auto include him. I don't think it's very specific. So he goes in the Padawan tier. Let me get some more water. All right. Let's move this up. We're almost done, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. We got Psychometry. This is a 1-cost ground event. It says choose another card in your discard pile. Search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card that shows a trait with that chosen card. Reveal it and draw it. Put all the other cards at the bottom of your deck. Okay. So this allows you to basically pick a card from your discard pile and pull the card out. For 1 cost, that's actually pretty good. Obviously, you can use it for force, but if you're running like Cad Bane and you need to get a card out that you really need, and you need Underworld, you can use this card. It's gonna share the trait. I think it's a very good event. Is it meta defining? No. Is it an auto include in yellow decks? No. I think it depends on the type of deck you're running. It's very similar to me as Premonition of Doom. It only runs on certain decks. And with that being said, I'm going to put it up here in the Padawan. I'm actually going to move Premonition Doom at this level as well. I think these are the same type of cards. Certain decks will run them. I don't think they're auto-include in all decks. Certain decks will run them. Okay. Next up, we have Trust Your Instincts. This is a 1-cost event. It says, use the Force. If you do attack with a unit, it gets +2 attack for this and deals combat damage before the defender. So this is kind of like shoot first, built in if you use the Force. For 2 resources, I think shoot first costs the exact same amount. It gives you +2 and you do combat damage as well first. This one is locked in. Remember, for me, when we talked about it, when you use a Force, it's like half a resource, so it's like 1.5 resources. I think you shoot Force, you just use shoot Force, it's better. But it's thematic. I think, again, if you run yellow, I do like it though. I think if you're running yellow and you're running Force, it'll be good. But the fact that you're locking into Force only, that's why I always have to put you in these tier, Padawan tier. If you're locked into a certain archetype, and outside that archetype, you're not that, like this card, you would never use it if you're not building a deck that uses the Force. So you'll use shoot first in this occasion. So I might have to put him in the Padawan tier here, that event. Next up, we have the Sun. This is a 7-cost ground unit. It has 6 attack and 8 defense, and it says, while the Force is with you, each friendly unit gets +2 attack. Yo, I'm gonna tell you that the stats on this card is pretty good. 14 power for 7 is about a little slightly undercosted, but he's benefited with that ability. Now for 7 resources, this deck card I think just strictly is a Revan card, and you include him in the Revan deck. And outside of Revan deck, I don't know if I would use him. He's kind of expensive. He's extremely powerful, but expensive. So again, we're locking him down to a specific leader. Because I don't know if I would run this card in any other villainy deck. Like I'm running Kira Datavolt right now, practicing. I don't even think about slotting him in. So I'm gonna put him in this tier. Okay, I just can't see him. It seems like he's just really built for Revan. All right, next up we have Darth Revan's lightsaber. It's attached to a non-vehicle unit. If it's attached to a Sith, it gains grit, gives you +2/+2. Again, with these upgrades, I think all these upgrades are very similar. I'm gonna put them at the tail end. This one is definitely designed for Revan, right? It gives it grit, but this is if you attach to any Sith. If you're building a Sith deck, then yes, it comes in. But here's a problem with this for me though. Now, the other lightsabers is you usually have to attach it to a Force unit. Force and Sith are 2 different things. It could have the trait Force, and they can have the trait Sith, but some of them can just have Sith or Force. It depends on the units. I think there's a couple units that are just Sith, but they're not Fourth. Or did I say that? Maybe. I could have sworn there was a vice versa. But if you're thinking about in the eyes of Revan, Malik, the Sun, you're probably going to be, there's going to be Sith there. So it can work. But I kind of want to slot it down to the Padawan tier, but because it's just that Sith keyword. If it said just Force, I think it would have been better. But I'm going to leave it at the tail end of up here. I might be wrong. All right. Next up is, let me bring him up in a new window, is Luke Skywalker. 4-cost ground event. It's a 3/5. It says when you play another unique unit, you may use the Force. If you do, give an experience token and a shield token to this unit. Okay. So this is a very caveat. You got to play another ground unique unit. Then you can use your Force token and shield him and buff him, which isn't bad. But for 4 resources, there's other cards I think you would want to use at this point, right? Do you really want to focus on your time trying to play other unique units to buff this Luke, and then he gets killed by, I don't know, no glory, only results before you got to use him? I don't think it's good. I do like that it just says it does build around Force. Again, now you're tied to a Force deck. With, again, I can't put you out of, it's hard for me to get you out of this Padawan tier when you're tied to a certain archetype, because then if you're not running Force deck, you don't use this card, right? It doesn't really provide value. You're locked into that Force. Do I think the Force is good? I think it's okay. I don't think it's as good as I originally thought. But I literally have been only playtesting the new decks for a couple days. So I could be wrong. This is very preliminary. But let's proceed. And the last card is the Daughter. This is a 5-cost ground unit. It has a 4/6. And it says when damage is dealt to your base, you may use a Force. If you do, heal 2 damage from your base. For 5 resources, she has okay stats. She can heal 2 damage. The good thing about it is that it's whenever you take any damage, you can heal base. But again, you got to be playing a Force deck. If you're, for example, I still think Sabine's ECL is going to be very good in this set 5 meta. She doesn't use Force. You never would use this card, even though that's a hero. Again, we're locking in. So we're going to throw this in the Padawan tier. All right, guys. And that is it. That is the entire rares for Legends of the Force rank. I'm going to review the top only, okay? The Master Jedi tier, it's your tier S. These is like your cards that I would say you auto-include in any deck that runs that aspect, okay? At number 1, I have Yaddle. She is completely busted, in my opinion, as a rare for a 2-drop with 2/4 restore 1s, and when she attacks, she gives every other Jedi restore 1. I think that's extremely powerful. You do Yaddle followed up with Yoda, you got some crazy healing to go on. And not to mention, she's Force. So if you're running red with blue, you open up Force Throw right at the beginning. Again, Force Throw, everyone's been talking about Force Throw needs to be pre-banned. It's too good. Yeah, it's very good now in this meta. If you don't have them, get you your play sets. Get you 2 play sets, because you'll be running 2 different decks that run it. Yaddle, I personally think Yaddle might have been should have been a legendary in my opinion, how good it is. Eye of Sion, again, another very good card. I think it will be, if you're running green, I think you automatically include this card. For 6 resources, has decent stats at 4/7, but it shines because of all the keywords it has. It has Ambush, it has Overwhelm, it has Restore, and it has Hidden. Very good. Hidden's a new mechanic. The next up, I forgot this guy's name every time I look at him. Eth Koth. He adds in ramp, right? When you defeat it, you use the Force token and you ramp, right? He's very well costed too. He's a 5/4. Compare him to Super Laser Technician. Super Laser Technician costs 3 resources and he is a 2/1. So when he dies, he comes into your resource. Now, the only caveat, he comes in ready. This one, no, it comes in exhausted. It has, unless it says otherwise. But it's a form of ramp for hero green. And ramp is good. We all know it's very good. This is another way you can ramp now with hero green. So I think it's a very good card. Galia, Adia Galia is the next one. She's a 2-drop for aggression, hero red, 2/4. And when your opponent plays a event, you can do 1 damage to base. Again, this is an auto include in a deck. If you're running red hero, you automatically include this card. That's what the Master Jedi tier is for me. It doesn't matter what the tribal is. If you're running a certain leader, it doesn't matter. You're running red hero, you include this card. And guess what? With Quinlan being very good in the meta right now and jump to light speed, you're going to add her card automatically in that deck. You're going to figure out what you cut. But these are the best cards. I think these are the best rares that you auto include. Now, the Jedi Knight tier is a tier that's very... I think these are very good cards, but they might be... We'll see them play, but I don't think they're meta-defining or auto-include, all right? And a lot of the upgrades are in here, like the Revan's Lightsaber, Kylo's Lightsaber, Yoda's Lightsaber. I think those are all very good cards, upgrades. We have to look at one card in specific, the Burden of Matters. I think that's a very good card. I know it's niched down to Force, but the fact that you can give something to experience tokens, I think is very powerful. Ogdo Bogdo, I really like this big boy. Sure, some people are not afraid of him when you drop in a 3-drop because it's like, okay, yeah, he's a 5/5, but he can't attack. But there's ways you can put damage on him. You go in an indirect deck, you're gonna put a damage on him, you can immediately attack. You play him in Kira, you can do her ability to do a damage, give him a shield. Now he's swinging in for 5. And I think I'm testing him out with Kira. I think he's not bad in it. Again, the shuttle here, solid card. Luminous Bindings, good card. I think these Venestra, these are all solid cards. I think these are the cards we're going to be definitely seeing in decks. The cards that are in the Padawan tier are very niche. They're going to be niche types cards. You're not going to see them. They're going to see them in certain decks or certain kind of synergy decks or tribal decks. They're not like auto includes. They're not very good. I think they're very good for that niche, right? And then lastly, we have some cards down in Scruffy-Looking Nerf Herder. I don't think they're good at all. Like a lot of these cards, I don't think they're good. And if you disagree, let me know, guys. But let me know. All right, guys. So let me thank you for your time. I know this was a little bit of a long stream, but we want to rank all the rares. I appreciate y'all guys' time. Now, let me know if you guys disagree with any of my rankings. Let me know in the comments. If you think I was right on something, let me know. If you think I ranked something at the very bottom and you think it should have been in the Master Jedi tier, I definitely want to know. And if you think I ranked any of the top cards too high, I also want to know. Let me know in the comments. Check out our next video. We'll be dropping soon. Probably tomorrow you'll get it. And we're going to be talking about, hey, just because Legends of Force is coming out doesn't mean you have to start looking immediately at these new leaders that the set introduces. We can look at the existing meta leaders that are winning tournaments, like your PQs and regionals. What can you do to add those new cards and still play with those leaders and still be potentially competitive? But anyways, thank you for your time. Don't forget about the giveaway. Subscribe to this channel. If you are a lucky winner when we hit a milestone on YouTube, you could potentially win this Obi-Wan card. I'll let you guys. I might hit that milestone this month. It might be next month. But it's an hour's, we're hitting a milestone, hit an hour's watch go. We're very close. We just need to get us through the finish line to help encourage subscribers to the channel and help get that watch time. You know, watch that channel, subscribe, watch my videos. If you have friends, send them my way. Tell them to subscribe and watch. They could potentially win this card. Thank you for your guys' time. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. May the Force be with you. Peace.